Okay, so we're gonna test the audio here, see how that is doing. Sounds like it's good. All right, so let me exit out of this real quick. All right, so hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Leonard Melnick, and I just got a new laptop. Actually, the webcam is right here, but I have another screen up here. So I just got the Dell XPS 9500. It is so far a beautiful laptop. Was very worried because the FedEx driver who was supposed to get my signature, I was watching. He just tossed the package onto the porch. I was gonna come out, but before I could do it, he literally tossed the package with my laptop in it onto the porch. Didn't get my signature at all. And then he saw me out of like at the window, and he like moved it a little bit, like adjusted it nicely. Um, and also, I unfortunately have the keyboard wobble, which I mean the touchpad wobble. I don't know if you can hear that. It was a glitch. I mean, it's really quality control service issue at Dell. They promised that the issue was resolved with a batch of XPSs that were released in June or July, but September still happening. But luckily, I got the warranty. They're replacing everything for me. But meanwhile, I have this one. And that's why I'm using Windows instead of Ubuntu, because I don't want to mess with the system too much before I have to return it. Okay, so today I am going to be doing a quick project. I'm just going to be making a URL web shortener. So let's get right to it. So first of all, I already made a GitHub project for this. But let me actually make it again. Okay, so where did I have it? I kind of wanted to make this project for a little while because it's pretty simple, but it's fun, I guess, in my opinion, and I think it's something I could use. I decided to call it URL Shortener, and I added some stuff here, just basic stuff for me to do. Okay, so what I need to do, let me add this all here. I was just playing around with this earlier. Okay, so the first step is, let me just explain what a shortener does. I can have an example here. So we can go to bit.ly, I think what this one called, bit.ly.com. So you basically type in your link here. So if I type in, melnick.com, right, and I press shorten, it just converts it to that. And then that, when I go to this site, it just redirects me to the website that I want. In this case, it's my website. So let's just make this. It's actually going to be pretty simple in my opinion. I hope it takes it quickly, but let's start. So the first step is to make the actual website with a form, right? So let's do that. I already have stuff here. So I'm just going to have try URL shortener. Quick like that. So we're gonna submit the information with post request. So I'm gonna make a form with the action. Let's call it submit. Method needs to be post. Okay. Inside of this, we need to have an input. We need to have two inputs because I intend on making custom. So let me put input. So we need a button too. The button is going to be a type of submit button. Okay. So we need two inputs. We need one that's the link that they want to shorten, and the second one is going to be the code. So what they put after my website that's going to redirect them. I'm going to add this name, URL, so it's going to be the URL that they're putting. Name. We're just going to call this code. And actually, I'm going to placeholders, URL, just so it's easier to discern. Placeholder equals code. All right. So now, if we check out the website, can I open this in Reveal in File Explorer? There we go. So, okay, there we go, perfect. URL shortener, we have a URL, we have the code, and we have a submit button. Now I need to basically host the website with Express. So I'm gonna pull up my pre-organized notes right here. basically what I have for each project when I'm starting it. So basically, I'm upgrading from my MacBook Pro 13-inch 2015, which I got used off Craigslist. It works amazing. There are no flaws with this laptop, unless you consider the fact that it had cockroaches in it. I did get it used from Craigslist, and it's just kind of slowing down on me. And also, I need something with a little more power, a bit more power. And the Dell XPS, I got the very base model, but its processor is still more powerful than my desktop processor. So that's that's something that makes it nicer for me. All right, so let's do this. So I'm going to be using Node.js and Express for the backend. Okay. So let's get that open over here. Okay. So I'm using Node.js and Express for the backend, like I mentioned before. So first off, we're going to go ahead and import everything. You know what? Actually, hold on. Let me just plug something in here. I'm going to make it so I can easily switch between devices for like, God. Okay, so which one is, if I unplug this? Okay, that was the wrong one that I just unplugged. Oopsies. Oopsie daisy. Just unplug the second one. Plug this thing in. I have these HDMI switchers under my desk that I installed. So I just click on it and it switches the HDMI. This way I could just kind of check on the stream while I'm streaming it, just so I know exactly what you guys see. Also, because this is a 16:10 display on the Dell XPS, it's oh, there we go. Okay, that worked. Perfect. So let me just drag this. What was it? Oh, okay. So just drag it. There we go. Okay. So let's do this. Let me just double check on the stream. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Express require Express, and I already pre-installed the packages with npm. Also, since we're grabbing information from a form, we're going to need body parser. What's it called? It's called body parser. Okay, what else do we need to import? Path. We need to import path in order to access the HTML file. Path equals require path. Okay, what else do we need? And yeah, that's actually it for now. So first of all, let's host the HTML file. Let's make it so if we go to localhost, it automatically puts the HTML file there. So the way that I'm going to do that is, we first have to finish. So first of all, we're making a new thing, app. We're going to call it app equals express. Now we're going to do app.use. What do we need to add to this? Okay, so we need to use body parser dot unencoded. And what extra stuff do we need in there? Right, so we're just going to say extended equals true. Just true caps in JavaScript. There we go. Okay, so it's lowercase. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, that seems about right. Body part. Oh, right. Forgot you kind of need that. No wonder it was giving me a little bit of error. Okay. And then we're just going to just say app.use body parser.json. So we're basically giving app the ability to go through the body of the HTML form that we're going to submit. Now we can make the base file. So we're going to do app.get. I'm going to just call it slash. We don't need home or anything. It's just going to be the root directory. Function rec, so request and response. Oopsies. Still getting used to the keyboard. And there we go. Now, what do we want to do here? We just want to send the index.html file. So we're going to do it with response.send. I think it's path.join. And then it's going to be dir name. Is it dir name? I think it's underscore underscore dir name. Yeah, that looks about right. And then we're just going to call, say, index.html. So it's basically, because it operates from the root directory, so we're saying get to this directory and then send as a response index.html when someone goes to just the base level. And then finally, app.listen, because we need to make sure that, it's actually going to run. And I forgot to run it. Perfect. So node index.js. And it's running, should be running. So let's check out localhost. That does not look right. Oh, sorry, I did send. So it's just sending that. We need to send the file. Okay. Right, I forgot. I need to figure out how to get a debug version of this so I can just make live changes. And now, there we go. Look at that. So now when we just go to just the base page, it gives us the URL shortener. The next step is to grab these inputs, grab the form, and put it into a database. So first let's I think I called it submit. Yeah, so the action was submit. So I'm going to make a post request now. So app.post. We're going to, since we previously were going to call it submit. Function, same thing, rec response. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, right, so we're going to use MongoDB. But first of all, let's just create an array, object array, technically, of all the elements. So, right, so we're going to call what we're going to call it, URL object. I just title it that. We're going to make the URL in this equal to request.body.url. The code is equal to request.body.url. Code. And then we're just going to test it out real quick. Console.log URL object. Let's just test that, see if it works. So when we click on submit, it should, I forgot I had a mouse here. Okay, so now when we click on submit, it should console log something. So if I type in leonardmelnick.com and then L as the thing, there we go. Okay, so Leonard Melnick code L. Next. Okay, so next we want to send it to the database. So I need to now import MongoDB because I'm using MongoDB as a database. So var mongo client. What am I using here? Okay, it's called MongoDB. So require MongoDB dot Mongo client. There we go. Var object ID equals require. Actually, I don't even need object ID. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't need object ID. And I'm just gonna add the URL and the information on the MongoDB server. Don't even think about accessing this because it is IP locked. I should probably add a password on that, but for now I don't need it. And project cloud doc. I think that's the website currently that's hosting it. And 17 my DB. Really want to put it. Let me turn the AC again. It's getting kind of hot in here. Okay. I love how you have the option to use colons in JavaScript. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually connect the database. So before we just established all the information, now we need to actually connect the database and get the information. So that's just Mongo client dot connect. We're gonna connect with the URL function error DB. I think that's about it. Okay, and now we're just gonna move this, put it all inside, because that way all this is inside, we're accessing the database. All these have access to the database. Okay, So first of all, we're still submitting it something. So let's submit let's add the URL object to the array. So in order to do that, we're just gonna, what is the one for that again? I think it's insert one. So DBO, which, did I define that already? No, I still need to define DBO. So first of all, I forgot to add the arrow statement. So if there is an error, then throw the error. Okay, now we need to actually define the collection. I already have a collection created or whatever. Actually, let me double check that. MongoDB. Okay. Let me switch to this thing. I think I have Mongo already. Yeah, there we go. I already installed that on here. So let's just check that out. Bruh. It's taking a little while to load. First of all, let me maximize this. Meanwhile, it's going to keep sending the request because we haven't done a response yet, so it's just going to repeat with the request. But as soon as I submit it to the database, it's loading the plugins. Oh no, Secondo. Sorry for the weird screen ratio because this is a 16 by 10 screen, which I love. Gives me much more room for code, and it's a very nice screen in my opinion. Oh wow, why do I have two versions of it loaded? Okay. We're going to connect to it. Okay, so I called it, it's under small projects. Under small projects, URL Shortener. Okay, so let's do this. So, switch back here. Okay. My phone's buzzing. I need to find a better key for the car roof. Okay, so it's DBO, is it? No. So, yes. We already did we define it yet? No, we need to define it. So, DBO, so the database, the main one that we're accessing, because it's like this subfolder or something. db.db, and it's just called small projects. Okay. For good code etiquette, I'll put that there. Now under here, it's I think it's dbo insert one, since we're going to insert one. So collection thing. Collection is called, okay, there we go. URL shortener, and we are going to insert one. And what we're inserting is the URL object, and it's a function that we want to do once it's done. So error result, so what's the result from that? And there we go. And then this is where we're going to do the response. So response.send done. We're just going to say done. So then I'm going to do now, so I don't have to do it later, is just we're gonna check if the code already exists. Because we'll let people use the URL unlimited times, but the code can only people can only use one, like one code can only work. Meaning, so that way if people type in the code, they won't be redirected to many different websites. So we're gonna use the DBO collection to find if there's anything in there in the first place. So collection URL shortener, and I think we're putting it to an array. The find, we're just gonna say code. I don't know if this actually will work. Correct body.code. So if there is a code that already exists, we're just gonna make this into an array so we can actually search function. I think it's error result. Okay, so we're basically gonna search. So and then here, if the result dot length is equal to 0, then we're going to do this. But if it's longer than 1, aka if one of the code is already being used, then we're just going to response.send that code is in use. Okay, we're done there. So let's see if it's going to work. I realize I wrote a lot of code without testing it, but let's see. That is really annoying. Okay. Error is not defined. Where is this not defined? Index.js 11. If error, throw error. Oh, because I called it error here instead of error. There we go. Okay, it's running. So let's test this out. So let me also need MongoDB to load. Okay. Just give us a second. How long has the live stream been going for? Let's see how that's doing. 20 minutes. Wow, that time passes by really fast when I'm programming. It felt like it was much less. Okay, so if we go to small projects, URL Shortener, there's nothing here right now. Let's add Leonard Melnick code LM. Submit. Oh boy, that's not good. Throw error. Result is not defined. Where is result not defined? Oh, hold on. These spelling errors are really catching up to me. Okay, done. Now let's check. Hey, look at that. Done. Okay. So the URL part works. The code works. Perfect. So what is next? Next is we have to get to. We have to put if they put the code here, it's going to get them to the URL. So I'm going to use parameters for that. So I'm essentially just going to copy this real quick. And the way that you do this is you just do this, and you do code. I think that's the right one. So it basically says, you know, if it's root and then they just have some text there, then that text we're going to save it as a variable called code. So in this case, code is just going to be equal to request params dot code. I don't think it's body. I don't think it's in body. Yeah, just I think it just request params code. And all we're going to do is rest.redirect. So we're just going to redirect them. Oh, no. So we first need to find. So, okay, so we're using the code. We need to use the code and find the URL. Okay, so I'm essentially going to copy what I have below. dbo.collection URL shortener dot find. We're going to find, let me just quickly make code equals code request. So basically, I'm just going to look for this in the database. Request.params.code. So we're just going to find code, and then we're going to format that to an array. Function error goes first, then result. Okay. So if result length is greater than 0. So if the length is greater than 0, which means there is one, length is greater than 0, then we are going to response.redirect. I can just delete this part actually. Response.redirect, and it's going to be a result, because it's going to be the first one in the array, so 0, and we're going to find the URL in there, and we're just going to redirect straight to the URL. Else, if in the case that there are no results for that specific code, we're just going to send that code is not in use. Perfect. Okay, so that code is not in use. Let's test this. So now if I go to /lm, bruh. Oh, error HTTP header sent. Am I missing something? Oh, no, I know what that means. Right, we can't, we have to delete this, because otherwise it's like trying to send the response twice, which we can't do. I used to not know what to do with that error, but, you know, this time has come, I've gotten wiser. Okay, so LM goes, it just redirects right now to Leonard Melnick because the website isn't HTTPS that I put in there. But for example, if I put in HTTPS leonardmelnick.com and we just call it LMA, right? And then we're going to navigate to LMA. Boom, it works. Okay. So the next step, what's the next step? Is there a next step? I think the next step is to help it so that I can enter anything here and it's going to automatically format it the way that I want to format it. I just got a message here. Okay, so first of all, I want to make this work for both HTTP and HTTPS websites. And I want them to just be able to put in whether it's HTTPS or just the leonardmelnick.com and it's going to work regardless. Which means when they do a submit request, I'm going to have to manually add HTTPS or HTTP if it doesn't exist so far. I'm going to start off actually by making a selection so they can select whether it's HTTP or HTTPS. We're just going to call it type since that's much simpler in my opinion. No, we want option value equals 0. Selected HTTPS, and the other option value equals 1 is just going to be HTTP. So if I just even reload the page here, you can see you can now select whether HTTPS or HTTP. Now we're going to have to take that in here. So URL equals request.body.url. Okay, so if and then type, I also need to type so I don't have to type out request.body.url every time I want to use it. Okay, so if type, and I'm actually going to turn it into an int because I like doing that. I like working with numbers better. If type equals 0, and so if it already has HTTPS, it's not going to be a problem. But I have to, if it doesn't have HTTPS and they selected HTTPS, I have to add that. URL.includes HTTPS. But I want to do if it does not include HTTPS, then what I'm going to do is URL equals to HTTPS plus URL. And actually, I have to make URL into a variable here. That way we can modify it afterwards. And right here, we're going to change it to just URL, since we're changing it up. Okay, so if type equals 0, and okay, else if, now we're going to do the opposite. So if type is equal to, right, no, that's is equal to 1, and again, the URL does not includes HTTP. Then we're going to say the same thing, which is URL equals HTTP plus URL. Okay, I think that should work. And then just submits it. Okay, let's just test this baby out now. All right, so I'm going to put in a URL, prstash.com, which is a website of mine, and it's HTTP. Submit. Okay, it actually worked here. Let's check the database. Nice. LMA. Okay, so HPR, so that worked. Now if I go to, perfect, look at that. Now let's try to create, let's test the already created functionality. So if I just try to make it again, code is in use. Let me just make sure that it's not, well, perfect. So if it is, then it adds it. Okay, I think that's literally done. Yeah, I think that's it. Huh. Perfecto. Oh, I forgot to do this. All right, so I think we're done here. If this works, I'm gonna publish it and I'll let you guys know the URL that I publish on. This was a pretty fun project to work on. And I'll see you guys for the next one.